Well, hello. I hope the sound's good. I hope you all can hear me. I made some changes to my PC last night, swapped some stuff around, changed my sound system completely to get rid of some interference and a splitter box I didn't really need anymore. So I've had to reconfigure some parts of OBS, but I'm hoping it turned out okay. The audio output on the OBS control panel seems to be looking quite good, so welcome to NFL Conference Championship weekend. We'll have the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs playing in about an hour here, maybe a little more. We'll also have the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers playing, I think, a little later on. I believe LA's at home. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look into that. But for the time being, I figured what I would do is I would come and stream a bit of RaceRoom racing experience for you guys to fill the hour before NFL games started kicking off. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the NFL right now. There's a lot of shit they're doing that I just don't like, whether it be the pussification of roughing the passer penalties or the non-stop barrage of social justice stuff, which comes across as very forced and contrived. But this is a pretty wild season for the NFL in terms of quarterback competency, so these games today are probably worth watching, and personally I prefer Conference Championship week as opposed to the actual Super Bowl, which is really hit or miss, and of course extremely long and drawn out due to all the ads and the halftime show and all that bullshit. So this is my favorite day of the NFL season. Always has been, always will be, usually produces the best games. And again, we have an hour until they kick off, so let's head over to the sim racing sphere and check out the second of the two newly released tracks in RaceRoom Racing Experience, which is TT Circuit Assen. This is traditionally a motorbike course that does host like regional GT3, and I think it hosts around on the DTM schedule. Kind of an oddball track that you don't see in a lot of racing sims, but like always and like everything RaceRoom has put out, the track has been modeled in pretty immaculate fashion. It looks really, really good. So I'll probably do to start out with a short practice against the AI just to warm up before heading over to the RaceRoom leaderboards, if there's anyone who even set a time with this car on this track, and then do like a quick 20-minute race to check out the AI. Before that, we'll talk about some stuff, because there's, some stuff worth talking about. If you haven't seen the news, my country is in revolt. We're on day 3 of the protests down in Ottawa. A shitload of truckers have shown up to protest vaccine mandates in their industry again, because truckers spend long amounts of time in isolation driving their trucks by themselves in the middle of nowhere. A lot are kind of pissed that they have to take, what is still an ongoing medical experiment to keep their jobs. They really don't know why they don't have a choice in the matter. So what was portrayed by the news and our own Prime Minister as a fringe movement of people who supposedly hold the wrong opinions has accidentally united the country, which is really hilarious. And there are just a shitload of people downtown in Ottawa right now. And again, it started as this... The protesters began rolling in Friday, and it seemed kind of like a lukewarm protest, which Ottawa has lots of those because it is our capital of our nation. And the trucks didn't stop coming since Friday afternoon. So the entire downtown core of Ottawa is pretty much gridlocked. The police have closed off several bridges so more trucks can't get in, but more are still arriving anyway. There has been incessant honking in Ottawa for the last 3 days. Reddit is full of hilarious stories of people who are unable to tolerate differing opinions having literal meltdowns on the Ottawa subreddit. One guy or girl claiming their cat became so frightened of the noise the truckers were making that it shit all over their bed. If you understand how cats behave, usually aggressive shitting like that means the owner did something wrong and they aren't scared, they are pissed specifically at the owner. So it's really, really funny. And it's really, really good. It's united the country in ways I pretty much haven't seen. I mean, there's a bigger turnout for this than there are most Canada Day parades. which is really exciting to see. If you understand how our political system works, we don't really have a red versus blue format like you see in the United States. Usually during our federal elections, the choice doesn't boil down to red versus blue like Trudeau versus X. Usually there's 4 or 5 people in contention for running for the role of Prime Minister. Which means that if there's only a 44% voter turnout for a Canadian election, and Trudeau wins the election with something like 35% of the votes, because again, there were 4 or 5 people in contention, it essentially means only 14% of the country voted for him. So, most of our country was just waiting for the right moment to tell him to go fuck himself. Because he really doesn't have a lot of support for, you know, compared to something like in the States where you have, it's either you're on Team Trump or Team Biden, or Team Trump or Team Hillary. It's like, you're split between 5 different options. So the entire country, like, close to 86% of the country who didn't vote for Trudeau or didn't vote at all, was waiting for a situation like this to tell him off publicly, and the truckers took that upon themselves and are now protesting in pretty excessive numbers. The protest has gone pretty well. Nothing's being vandalized or defaced. Someone hung like a Canadian flag around Terry Fox, one of the main statues over there. And of course the news is trying to say it was vandalized, and this comes after years of like BLM like literally burning Denny's and Advance Auto Parts and defacing, you know, statue upon statue because they're alleged white supremacists. But of course, when, you know, the average Canadian hangs a flag around Terry Fox, suddenly, you know, that person must be prosecuted and arrested at once. It's exposing the hypocrisy of our media and politicians and civic leaders very easily, and it's very, very funny. Yeah, I'm aware that the 24 Hours of Daytona just finished. That's probably the next piece of news we should cover. Look, I admittedly do not care for the Rolex 24. It's just, for me, it's something to watch. That was pretty weird. The AI just, like, bumped into each other in the corner there. I'm not a fan of IMSA. I don't watch a lot of the races, like, attentively. I don't know any of the teams or any of the drivers. I don't, you know, hate certain teams or certain drivers, or like certain teams or certain drivers. For me, it's just, it really is just something to watch, a race to watch. It kicks off the, you know, official auto racing calendar, which is kind of nice. I think, yeah, GTD Pro had a wild finish between 2 Porsches. Whoever was in the blue car tried to dive bomb at a really stupid spot. I don't know why he tried it in the chicane. He should have just ran on the guy's bumper and used the draft down the front stretch. But I guess some guys see red, and that's understandable. But regardless, it was a pretty good finish. But I will say that the Rolex 24 and most of the IMSA calendar are meme races. They don't interest me at all. But it's good that people had fun and the race went off okay and there wasn't a massive, you know, long red flag period or like rain or anything like that, because that can ruin that race sometimes. Daytona as an infield road course is terrible. I've run a few long and short distance races there. I've won a few of them, like at least in sim racing. You know, I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a real racer here, but like Daytona is not a track I immediately jump to drive an offline race. It's boring. You have to trim the car out. You have to run a low downforce setup you probably don't have built for any track except Daytona. So, again, I'm glad the race went off without a hitch, but I think the most excited thing I'm looking for, or what I'm most excited about, is this weekend, as well as next weekend with the NFL playoff games today, as well as the LA Clash next week for NASCAR, which is the debut of the Gen 7 car, and NASCAR bending over backwards to pander to people who don't like NASCAR by running a race in a stadium that nobody asked for. Very, very odd. But I'm excited just to see what's going to happen. You know, it's been like 50, 60, 70 years since NASCAR has run inside of a football stadium. I mean, this is something they used to do when basically NASCAR first started, if not before NASCAR, you know, was even a thing. They ran like exhibition races in, I think, Soldier Field in Chicago and a couple of other different stadiums, I should say. So, like, cool, they're going to try it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, well, like, that's why they don't run there anymore. Third item of news. I guess I have another stalker, which is great. For those who haven't been following my channel or just tuning in and want me to recap it because it's funny, I ended up posting a short video showing iRacing's Gen 7 car is not very good. The braking is just really weird on it. The cars don't stop quick enough. And there could be several reasons fueling that. So I took a Dale Jr. interview where he talks about the Gen 7 car being really good under braking, and then paired it with just like a clip of like a random iRacing content creator being like, hey, I can't stop the car at the LA Coliseum, and like he hit the wall like 3 times in a row. Like just nose straight into the wall. And like I thought that was the end of it. And it wasn't a big deal, because like, let's be honest, like anytime I upload stuff, like I use other people's clips, and that's pretty common on YouTube. Like people have used my stuff. Guys like Ryan Moody literally have people send clips into him. Guys who make like highlight videos or retrospectives, like they do not film all of their own stuff. They go on YouTube and look up like, you know, 1080p HD gameplay if they need like a quick like gameplay clip to show off a game and talk over it. So like it's pretty normal on YouTube. And the content creator whose clip I used got like enormously ass mad. And like tried to say that his shitty little YouTube channel, like I have my shitty little YouTube channel, you know, is his own intellectual property and his own unique brand, and started filing like copyright claims against me for making like a 1-minute long video. Keep in mind, like no one's making any money off this shit. Like I've only got like 3.6k subscribers. My channel is monetized, but like I'm realistically not making any money. Like I haven't even got a paycheck from YouTube. Like I think my AdSense revenue is a total of $6, and it comes mostly from like other videos I've made, like either the Jacoby stuff or like just various like sim racing like LOL videos, you know, where I'm like, hey, this game's fucked up, and the video gets like 4,000 views. So like this guy's like splitting hairs and filing copyright claims over like a video that made me 12 cents, legitimately. So it's very bizarre. So anyway, he filed a copyright claim on me, and basically what happens when you get a copyright claim filed on you is that you have like 7 days to take action. So you can take no action and leave it up and basically dispute it and have YouTube review it manually, or you can take the video down, like yourself, and then there'll be no strike filed against your channel, and your channel remains in good standing. So to be funny, I chose option B, because now you know that I've got proof a copyright strike was filed. I can say, hey, you know what? I'll upload something even more transformative to ensure it falls under fair use and, you know, adheres to copyright, while also talking about how this, you know, loser in the iRacing community files dumb copyright strikes against people who use his content. So he picked an interesting battle, because what, you know, was realistically a 1-minute long let's laugh at iRacing for a few minutes and then go about our day video, him choosing to die on that hill and file a copyright claim instead opened the door for me to take, you know, for the 5 minutes out of my day to say, hey, this fuckhead is a loser and thinks his channel that, you know, he streams iRacing races on for like 600 people, thinks he's like an intellectual property and is like filing like fake copyright claims on people now if they use his content, because he's that full of himself. So again, an issue that could have died in 30 seconds and him being like, oh, that's cool, someone used my video, has now turned into, hey, there are losers on iRacing who think their YouTube channel with like 1,000 views on each video is like an intellectual property to be protected, like on par with Master of Puppets by Metallica. Do you know what I mean? Bizarre. Really bizarre. So to build off that, it really didn't end there. Now this guy has like fans of his that are like pissed at me, or realistically are just children trying to suck up to their favorite content creator. So what's happened now is like there's this guy on Twitter, I forget his exact name, but it's one of those with like no profile picture and like barely any posts, and has been reporting both myself as well as anyone who follows me, going to their YouTube channels and reporting them for copyright, you know, infringement, and filing like reports on their Twitter account for like a harassing or abusive behavior. So like I had a couple guys mention to me on Twitter that like, yeah, like I got muted for 12 hours because like this fuckhead went and reported all my tweets. So like it's literally not even stopping at just one iRacing content creator. It's like there are legit like many deranged people in this community. Not only are the content creators kind of like full of themselves and like delusional, but like their own fans are like fangirling over people with like 600 views on their YouTube videos. Like it's very fucked up. So like everyone thinks that like, oh, like Jason Jacoby is, you know, the sole crazy person in iRacing, and that now he's gone, you know, things will go back to normal. And the reality is it's just not true. There's varying levels of crazy in the sim racing community, and it's really like bizarre. Just really bizarre. Yeah, and Zigag makes a good point. Like this dude who was like filing the copyright strikes and getting like, not getting people to come after me, but kind of like his fans were like chasing after me and some of the people that follow me on Twitter. Like this dude's like a normal guy with like a normal job, and like he runs like a photography business on the side, I think. So like for him to get like super defensive about like a recreational YouTube channel and start using and abusing copyright strikes, people to have the ability to like report if someone uploaded like a full-length movie on YouTube, you know, which is not legal. That's what the system was designed for, and yet you have people abusing it because like they're pissed off you used a clip from like their obscure iRacing video that got 600 views. Like it's weird, man. And then their own fans like start coming after you too. So it's like multiple waves of just like autists. It's just silly. And someone made a really astute point on Twitter in that the reason guys like Jason Jacoby were allowed to operate for so long, or got away with it for so long, or had people defending him, is because more people are like him in the community than people want to admit. And that for every guy like me, or guys like Ethan in our chat here, who are otherwise like normal dudes just playing racing sims because we love race cars, there are legit like crazy people in the hobby. Which is just awful. Especially because these games now rely on like heavy participation in online leagues or esports or just like social media to get like the most out of them. Like you can't really play GTR2 in isolation anymore like you could 15, 20 years ago. It's now turned into like, if you buy a game, they basically aggressively demand you to like, you know, try setting a time on the leaderboard, try coming out to our esports competitions, try our ranked servers, and you have to deal with like fuckheads constantly. It's bizarre, and you know what, like, to shift blame away from Nick, which sounds kind of weird, but like, I highly doubt he's the only one like that. Which is just, like, bizarre. I don't know what's gotten into people, man, but, like, people... I don't even want to say people are taking sim racing too seriously, but, like, there's clearly a portion of the hobby where, like, this is all they do every single day, and they completely lose touch with just, like, the basics of what we're doing. Like, I love this shit. Look, like, I play racing sims pretty much every day. I play racing games pretty much every day. I sit in my sim rig pretty much every day. I haven't lost sight that, like, we're just fucking around playing video games. I enjoy making, like, critical content because it's funny. Because chatting shit about video games is funny. But, like, there are people who are, like, it's consumed them. It's made them, like, lose, like, touch with reality. It's given them, like, a grandiose sense of self-importance. To, like, abuse, like copyright systems that aren't even intended for stuff like this. It's really, really strange. And I really hope it ends soon, because, like, I think Mandalore Gaming said it best in relation to Star Citizen. The creepier you act to just, like, normal people in your community like this, the less inclined people are going to be to, like, play with you. The more and more people like myself are just going to hang it up for good, or just, like, not give a shit about running in leagues anymore, not contribute to the community, and you'll be left with, like, exclusively just, like, weird people. My Little Pony kind of went through the same thing, too. Like, My Little Pony is, like, thankfully I'm not a brony, so I can only speak as just someone who watched this shit develop from afar, and, like, my friends get into it, but, like, from what I understand, it was actually a pretty good cartoon. But because so many, like, literal autists co-opted it as, like, their sole personality, everyone normal who watched it and everyone normal who could have contributed to, like, an okay fandom was just like, nope, this is fucking creepy, and found something else to do. And now that entire scene is just like a haven of, like, creeps. And if you want that for sim racing, like, okay, be my guest, but people like myself, people like Empty Box, people like Billy Stranger, eventually, like, gonna get turned off by people like that and just, like, stop making content, stop participating in the community, and those will be the only people you have left. So, Tread carefully with that shit. People like him are the reason my wheel collects dust under my shelves. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's just really bizarre to watch. And the sim racing community never really used to be like this, because, like, I've been around for a pretty long time. Like, and to be fair, like, I was young in the late 90s and early 2000s, but, like, I raced in online leagues under my dad's name. It was never like this. You know, like, people on TeamSpeak, like, way back in the day, again, when I was fairly young, were not creepy like this. Were not, like, strange like this. You know, the reason I'm basically in sim racing now, you know, and fell in love with it when I was a kid, was because, like, Mike Henry Jr. and Rob Bells, who were just two guys who ran an NASCAR 03 league, were just, like, cool people. You know, they weren't being like, hey, like, after the race, let's go all dox this guy and get his YouTube channel reported, or, like, hey, let's send, like, weird, crazy emails to this guy's employer, and, like, try and get him fired because, like, he didn't like my sim racing website, you know, like... It was just, like, cool dudes running an NRL3 league, and everyone was pretty good. That's basically as far as it went, and it was really fun. I don't know what the fuck has happened. I don't know if people have become, like, disillusioned by the prospect of earning money from YouTube. I don't know if it's, like, if iRacing has contributed to it because they've tried to make sim racing into this hyper-police state where you have, like, stewards, and you have this massive sporting code you have to abide by. Making everything this, like, rules Nazi environment where... everything's got to have rules, and everything's got to be reported, and you got to call the admins over every little thing. I don't know if social media's contributed to it. Because, I mean, social media has kind of normalized the fact that you should take microaggressions as, like, a personal attack and get all booty blasted over it and start abusing, like, report features and stuff like that. Like, it never... The report feature before was basically used to report if someone was uploading child porn somewhere. And now it's turned into, like, I'm gonna get someone banned because I don't like them, you know, or I'm gonna fuck with someone's account on, like, a widespread social media platform because I don't like them. And, like, try and find if they've broken some, like, obscure rule or have violated this, you know, obscure terms of service agreement to fuck them. Question, when do people start using their real names in sim racing? Any other game in normal racing games you would use an IGN? Probably means like a gamer nickname or like a gamer tag. I mean, people were using real names as far back as, like, just online leagues, but it was never required. Like, when I signed up was under my dad's name, it was just like, okay, that's your name, whatever. Like, no questions asked. It was just like, enter your first and last name as it appears in, like, your player profile or whatever. Nowadays, it's turned into, like, for sim racing system, you need to send Enrique, like, a photo of your driver's license. And I've mentioned this on another stream before, but, like, we raced with a kid who's, like, 16 or 17, and he had to, like, fake a driver's license just to sign up for a fucking online racing platform that was free. Which is just really, really strange. But it was essentially, iRacing came out and said, hey, like, if you use your real name, we believe, again, there was no data to back this up, but we think it'll foster a sense of community and belonging and hold people accountable for not being, like, crazy retards, you know, who drive backwards on the track. But, like, it's backfired because I don't think iRacing anticipated their game to be, like, co-opted by Spurgs, who have taken on iRacing not just as a hobby, but, like, as their entire personality. Yeah, Jones, you didn't know about that? You need a driver's license to sign up for sim racing system, which is free. And if you can't provide them with ID, you don't get an account registered. Tyler, my buddy Tyler had to do that too. He signs up, he's like, yeah, like, my account didn't get approved. He's asking for, like, a photo of my driver's license. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I guess it was in the time from when I signed up, like, basically day one when the service came out to now. He's basically like, yeah, like, I guess they've been having a problem with trolls, so... They legit ask for a driver's license now. It's bizarre. It could be a recent thing. But yeah, it kind of became normalized when iRacing rolled it out and tried to claim it would be a tool to ensure everyone was held accountable for, like, driving like a cunt online. But at the same time, like, they put all this effort into, like, you know, infrastructure for, like, a safety rating system and an iRating system. So, like, doesn't that take care of that? Like, they were really paranoid about people driving backwards on the track. So, like, they coded this whole system to detect accidents, which is great. And it works really well for the most part. And then they're like, actually, that's really not enough. We're basically gonna make people dox each other just to play this game online. And this is, like, they're simultaneously doing this while, like, police departments are literally going online and making announcements in the news being like, hey, like, don't give out your personal information online, because, like, there are, like, a well-documented number of creeps who will use it to stalk you. Like, even when you look up, like, Edmonton Police has a nice little, like, one-page thing on, like, the do's of don'ts of online dating, and it's literally, like, don't use your real name, don't use any identifying information, don't do this, don't do that. And then there's fucking iRacing being like, yeah, so you need to, like, basically dox yourself and, like, give all your info out to, like, sign up for our game. And then it'll be accessible for everyone else you race against, and if that person's a schizophrenic and becomes obsessed with you, like, oh well, LOL. I had to turn in my license to a dude, or I had to turn my license due to a series of concussions that under my ability to drive at night, a dangerous situation. So basically, I can't race on SRS. Well, any sort of ID, like driver's license, or like if you go to school, like your student ID or something like that. But like the point is, like, this is kind of weird, you know? Like that's not something I would have expected. It's bizarre. Last piece of news before we get rolling here. Again, I kind of like this format where I talk for a bit, and then we hit the track and go drive. Something leaked out on Twitter yesterday that wasn't supposed to. How do I put this without, like, spoiling too much? The rumors, I guess, that have kind of slipped out in my streams over the last, I guess, few weeks, they are true. How do I put this? The Jacoby stuff and kind of the surrounding, like, madness behind that and some of the other videos I've uploaded over the past year have actually been quite helpful to me and have put me on the radar of a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't watch me or wouldn't know about me, even though my subscriber count really doesn't imply that, like, my channel has grown. I don't necessarily care about subscriber count or anything, but, like, getting my name out there in regards to that specific situation has paid off, not in a subscriber count, but just getting my name out there and people knowing who I am. So, because people have been kind of following that saga and, like, paying attention to who I am and, like, what I do and what job title I used to have with SMS, people are now aware that, like, I'm a free agent in the gaming industry. And not, you know, I haven't been forced to go and lift boxes in some warehouse for minimum wage or anything like that. So, I was approached by a game company that should remain, or shall remain for the time being, nameless. And how do I put it this way? I was asked to basically sit down and design a game and create a design document and start a new racing sim franchise from the ground up, and basically gave me complete creative control with it. Not going to tell you who the dev team is, because, like, surprises are fun. But again, me being on the radar of a lot of different people these past few months, and people watching the Jacoby stuff play out and some of the other sim racing centric uploads I've made where people are like, hey, this guy might actually know his shit, that was enough for a company to approach me and be like, can you put something together for us, because we want to make a new racing sim franchise. And I said yes. I was compensated financially for it. the bills are paid for a pretty long time. Gonna have a pretty interesting job title. And you guys are gonna get a racing sim by me at some point in the future. Will it come out this year? Probably not. The first thing I'm gonna say is, like, release date, I don't know. But I will say I was given a blank slate to design something. And we're slowly assembling, like, an actual staff to put it together. It's absolutely crazy and not something I expected, but that's where we are in January of 2022. So there's been a lot of, like, all-nighters I've pulled, like mocking up, like, menu layouts and heads-up display design, and, you know, designing the mechanics of the game, the gameplay flow, and all the shit that you need in design doc, and then, like, the phases of what the game, you know, of how the game will roll out, and, you know, when post-release content will come into play, what that post-release content looks like, any sort of monetization elements. It's going to be a ride. And yeah, it'll come when it's ready. So the internal video I had put together as like a 90-second like project outline to new hires, someone ended up sharing that on Twitter briefly. I was not notified that that would be happening, so like it was like the simplest mock-up that I whipped up together in like an hour, you know, just you know, for something we could show new hires, being like, this is what we're trying to build. And like, you know, I paid like, I gave like no thought to like the graphics. I used like stock footage for half of it. I just like ripped shit from YouTube. I was just like, this is what we're building, and did like a quick narration. And yeah, someone decided they would post that on Twitter publicly for everyone to see. So there's two schools of thought on it. Like, some of the elements people were kind of like wishy-washy on, which I understand, because like the monetization, we're going in a direction that has never been seen in sim racing. And like, I fully understand that like people are going to be like, what the fuck, like not everyone's going to be on board with it, and like that's fine. That's, to me, that's part of the challenge, is getting people on board with it and explaining it in a way that doesn't seem predatory, because with me behind it, it's not going to be predatory. I was not instructed to be predatory. I was just, you know, instructed to build something that can be monetized and is fun. And thankfully, you know, the guys funding it are not crazy and trying to screw sim racers over. So, like, my initial pitch of just like, hey, this is really simple. You know, this is what I want to do for these monetization elements. They're like, oh yeah, that's fine. So, knock on wood, if it stays like that, like, this won't be insane. But yeah, so that leaked out for like an hour last night, and people commented on it. So part of the shitty part was that people were like, well, this is like weird and interesting, but some of these ideas like actually sound kind of okay. So the reaction was mixed, which, like, yeah, that's going to happen when we start including some of these elements. But at the same time, like, because of the person who shared it and because of who follows him on Twitter, they were extremely interested in the project. So a leak can be bad, but it can also be good. I personally, I don't like showing people shit when it's ready. Like, I wrote an entire novel basically in silence that nobody knew about, and then just dropped it one day. I mean, like, my close friends knew I was working on it, but it was one of those just like, here it is, I'm done. And before you get a copyright strike because you stole Mad Dog WRCF fans 2.0 footage, yeah, pretty much, right? But yeah, like, I went to copyright sites, like, or not copyright sites, what's it called, royalty-free, like, video sites, just for, like, certain elements I wanted to demonstrate, and was just too lazy to find, like, good videos for it on YouTube. It really was just, like, an internal mock-up. But yeah, like, the leak was out for an hour, if not less. And some of the comments were actually pretty good. Like, it was a range of, like, you know, I'm kind of wary about these elements versus, like, one guy offering to work for us for free. Because he's like, hey, this actually sounds, like, kind of neat. And, like, I'll do 3D modeling and environment work for free until the project starts making money. So I'm like, oh, like, might be onto something here. And other guys were just like, hey, like, this seems interesting. Like, it wasn't a wholly negative bad reaction, but there were definitely people who looked at it and were like, well, like, I'm still kind of wary about these elements in the game. That's fine. But the guy who shared it, the people who follow him are mostly like high up financial types who saw it and they're just like, this is excellent, we want in. So that could be pretty interesting on several levels if people are really sold on the idea, which they already seem to be. And to answer like the basic questions that are going to come up, like, could I tell you a car list? No. Could I show you screenshots of the game? No. Could I tell you what engine we're using? No. Could I tell you like who's working on like who's like the physics guy? No. You know, we're literally starting a team from the ground up. It's an offshoot of an already existing team, basically designed to work on this one specific racing simulator. There's so far like a design doc that's pretty extensive and elaborate and pretty fleshed out. You know, there's mock-ups, there's a couple 3D models underway of like the first cars we plan to include, and there's like 4 or 5 people on the staff. So like, don't expect this to get this by like next winter, you know? Don't expect to see this by the summer. We'll be playing like a demo of it, but like, there's essentially a new racing simulator underway and I'm the lead designer. That's it. That could all change in like 6 months, a year, 2 years. But like, I know what the game looks like. I don't know what it'll even be called because we might have to change it, just because like, who knows what's been registered and what's not, but like, there's a new racing sim coming. Isn't this what Ian Bell brought to you on that stream? Let's just say some of that stream was scripted. Not like we had a script, you know, that we like read off of, but like, how do I put this? That was kind of formally like revealing it to just like the people who follow me on YouTube, but like I had been at work like a few weeks before that. Does that make sense? Having listened to the Ian Bell stream, none of this is surprising. Well, technically it's not Ian Bell behind it. Technically it's me. Because Ian Bell's got like a non-compete clause with EA. But what he can do is he can connect other people to work on projects. So essentially he put me in touch with a certain developer. Not sure why my game alt-tabbed there. But he essentially put me in touch with a developer, won't name who they are so they don't get like abuse on Twitter because, you know, some creep decides to, you know, spam them saying I'm a white nationalist or whatever. Yeah, I had some bullet points to set Ian up to hit, but basically he put me in touch with a developer who's like, hey, Austin's a free agent right now. You should probably scoop him up. And they did. And they said, yeah, like, we're all in on this, you know, we want to build this. Have these 3 features, but basically, like, go nuts on whatever you want to design. So I did. I can't really give you, like, an overall premise of the game, because, again, everything's subject to change this early on. I mean, it's right now, it's several upon several pages of Microsoft Word documents and menu mockups and a couple 3D models. But beyond that, like, it's interesting. Some of the features are borrowed from Motor City Online. Some of the features are borrowed from stuff that was in Forza Motorsport, but for whatever reason the devs took out, even though people really liked it. And the rest is basically just me reinventing racing sims. Because there's a lot of shit that these games get wrong in terms of, like, user accessibility and, like, a curated experience that, like, leads people to just break the game often. And a lot of people just don't have, like, reasons to play this game. Like, aside from me streaming today on TT Circuit Assen, like, I have nothing else to do. You know, like, I don't get a reward, you know, whether it be in-game currency or, like, actual cash, wink wink, if I win a race against the AI. So, like, how would you redesign that? How would you reinvent the wheel of sim racing while keeping, like, the core game the same? Yeah, right now it's more of an idea than a physical thing in a virtual space. But, like, it's being built. We're slowly hiring people. You know, there's meetings upon meetings scheduled. And it's very bizarre too, because like we've talked about this in I think 3 different streams now, and like no racing sim website has touched this. Like the guy that ran PRC is the lead designer of an upcoming racing sim franchise. I will say though, it's not going to be, you know, the 5th GT3 game to enter the market, that's for sure. But someone basically gave me like a blank canvas to redesign a racing sim from the ground up, factoring in like all the shit I've complained about for years with these games. And it's just like, hey, it's like as long as you have like this monetization element and this like feature, like just do whatever the fuck you want. Like we don't care. Okay. So yeah, for like the first 2 weeks of January this year, I like didn't sleep. I was just like up creating, and I smoked a lot of weed. It was a lot of weed. Anyway, let's go turn some laps here. I have my Indy setup loaded. I think I need more downforce. 2 and 5 on the rear. I'll go to 4 and 10. It's a rally sim, it was even said in that stream with Ian Bell. Well, that's the thing. We also put out a little bit of misinformation, too. Thank fuck it's not another GT3 sim. You know, like, there's a space for GT3 sims. But at the same time, you gotta improve on the formula. Right? You gotta figure out how to do more than just, here's a GT3 race you can do. So this is TT Circuit Assen. Again, it's mostly a bike course. The funniest part of this whole like venture of designing a game is that it might be a company you've already heard of. Might have their games installed on your computer. So like there's a lot of shit that like goes on in this industry that like I don't want to say it's smoke and mirrors, but like it's similar to like the iRacing Monster Games deal where people just woke up one day and went, what the fuck? Like they have an alliance, like iRacing bought X. It's similar in regards to that. So I do have the AI at 115 in this, which is what I ran Indy at the other night when we streamed. But like I don't actually know if that's acceptable for this track or not. And that'll expose, you know, a problem with ISI motor stuff. Is that the same AI setting from one track to the other is wildly inconsistent, so I'm going to show that here. So we're already 8/10 down sector 1. I might need to change the final drive. That's the first setup tweak right now, but this Indy setup seems like a pretty okay baseline. Two and a half seconds back. So again, I won a race at Indy with this AI difficulty, and like walked away from the field. The more I drive this place, though, the more I enjoy it, like, for sure. Already picked up 7/10. Yeah, final drive needs to be fucked with, and I might actually be running too much downforce. Okay, I need another second. So this drive is very similar, I think, to Paul Ricard. In terms of, like, shitty sightlines and not being able to see certain corners on entry. Ideally, I want to beat P1's time. And you know what? The car's bogging a bit in 6th. Good corner there. Gained a little bit of time, moved into 2nd place in the practice. I could probably beat the time with push to pass, but I don't want to. Okay, that was a big send. So far the car is just like mega gripped up. Like what a lot of people don't realize is that open wheel cars, when the setup is right, drives like an arcade game. Doesn't mean RaceRoom itself is arcade, but like... I mean, they have giant fucking wings on the car. They're super light. Usually have underside aero too. Text messages here, I don't know what it's for. Nuking the left front right now. Really bad line for that corner. Picked up 3/10 though. Wow, just 3/10 off P1 now. Again, this is on very close to max difficulty in RaceRoom. This setup for Indy is almost perfect for this track. Like, I don't feel like I need to change anything yet. That's probably the 3/10 I needed right there. Almost. 2/10. Oh, so close. 10th and a half now. Picked up another 10th. I probably should click on push to pass just to ice it, but whatever. Fuck me. 200s. Try again. I cannot believe how much it lets you cut. Oh, I nailed that corner. You guys can probably see the live delta on the dash, or on the steering wheel, rather. And that was a sexy corner. Fuck. That's gonna run out of fuel. Okay, you know what? Maybe I will just straight up run the Indy setup. So we'll go back to 5 wing on the rear, 2 on the front. Driveline, taller gear, probably 475. Oh yeah, I'm not getting OnlyFans notice. I'm getting like fucking text messages and shit. Which means someone sent me a meme about the truckers. Let's take a look at the chat here before we head out back on track again. To be frank about it, I'd love to see something along the lines of Racing Legends Finished, a game where you actually manage your own team and race. Yeah, I definitely, in my design doc, pulled some stuff from Racing Legends, but like stuff that was really cool. When do you think motorsports games will lose their NASCAR and IndyCar license? I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. GT3 sim racing is kind of like the zombie game craze of 2013 or Battle Royale of recent years. Ethan says, yeah, you're spot on. 3DSW, maybe it's too early to ask, but will it have VR support? I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't particularly care for VR, but I would like it to have VR support. Just going through the chat here again before we go out on track. Yeah, I really like the Racing Legends comparison because there's stuff in there in the design doc that is like, hey, this is... Racing Legends had some stuff on the drawing board that was like, this is kind of intelligent, full stop. So it might come back, some of their stuff might come back with a modern twist. My attitude to weed has changed a shit ton. Yeah, mine as well, like, how do I put this? I completely abstain from alcohol. I've never drank in my entire life. Like, not even like, hey, when you're 12, like, have a beer just to try it. Like, not one sip. Because, like, I've seen what it does to people. Like, a lot of my friends, you know, when we went through, like, high school and, like, you know, would get fucked up at people's houses, like, I watched my friends, like, do some really stupid shit drunk. Like, oh, like, Tyler destroyed his pool table one night because he was drunk. Dan fell down the stairs because he was drunk. You know, like, it just got silly. This never happened to anytime someone smoked weed. Like, you wouldn't even notice it. Like, even I sometimes don't even notice when I'm stoned. It just calms you down, akin to, like, it's like having a cold, but only the good parts of having a cold. Like, you know when you have a cold sometimes and it's like, you just want to, like, lay in bed and watch, like, Netflix documentaries on, like, North Korea all day? That's what it's like being stoned, but without the coughing, without, like, the insane grogginess and, like, the fever dreams and shit like that. It's, like, the best parts of having a cold temporarily. So you're just, like, relaxed and like, chill. And, of course, with it being legalized here, it's like, well, there's literally nothing stopping me from going to the store and buying, like, you know, a 3-pack of joints for $9. It doesn't make you fat like beer does, or alcohol does. It doesn't make you violent or aggressive like alcohol does. It literally just simulates, like, a cold, you know, but, like, the comfy parts of a cold where you watch documentaries. It doesn't make you, like, overly loopy or giddy, or, like, fucked up, or, like, you know, making impulsive decisions. It just kind of mellows you out for a bit. And, like, I'm a pretty high-strung guy, as you can probably tell from my sim racing videos where I get, like, agitated about stupid shit. And, like, I'm like that all the time. I can't turn that part of my brain off, but, like, with weed I can, which is really nice. So I get a break from me, you know? Yeah, Ethan's got it right. Like, the worst thing that happens is you get really hungry and placid. You don't get hallucinations, you don't rip your skin off, you don't kill people. Yeah, alcohol is scary. Even, like, small amounts of alcohol are, like, noticeable in certain people. Weed is just, like, you genuinely can't tell if someone's high or not. Sim racing game that hasn't been done before. SCCA and all the micromanagement that comes with being a driver in it. Well, not to that extent, because, like, I don't want to piss players off. You know, and I don't want to make it too hard to digest for the average person, but, like, let's put it this way. Have you ever had to change the oil in any racing game? And not even, like, you know, how My Summer Car does it, or, like, Car Mechanic Sim does it, but, like, have you ever had to choose what oil goes in, like, your street car in a racing game? No. Have you ever had to, like, buy street tires because, like, your tires are worn out and you need new tires? I'm not talking something, like, intense, like you have an inventory of, like, 20 different tires and that shit, but, like, in Need for Speed, like, imagine after 8 races in Need for Speed, it was just like, okay, you need to buy new tires again. And, like, here's a list of tires, and you can just buy whatever ones you want, but you just have to buy new tires again. That's digestible and easy, but it's never been done. You know, like we've had how many street racing games over the years, but you just have, like, infinite tires that don't wear. Like, something simple, or, like, imagine, like, in the early, like, stages of, let's say you're playing Midnight Club LA, you had to put, like, fuel in your car. Like, you had to stop at a gas station, like, once every, like, hour in the game. And based on, like, what octane level you used, it would kind of mingle with the various performance upgrades in your car and either give you a boost or slow you down because you didn't pick the right octane. It doesn't have to be super fucking intense like My Summer Car is, or what's it called? What's the other one? Car Mechanic Sim is, where it's like every little detail, every little bolt you have to unscrew. No, I'm just saying, like, hey, like, imagine, like, you know how F1 has tire suppliers. Imagine if for your, like, street car you could, like, pick which gas station to stop at. And it might give you a small horsepower boost if you pick the right octane and the right brand. Like, that's it. That's as far as it goes. No one's done stuff like that before. But, like, that shit, like, for my real car, like, I have to worry about, like, what oil should I run this season? Because I'm going to put a bunch of new parts in. What gasoline should I use? Should I buy, like, a fuel additive for 20 bucks from Canadian Tire to boost the octane a bit? Why has no one done that? It's not necessarily hard. It's just, like, you know, an additional upgrade to install that, like, affects your performance by X amount, but, like, literally no one's done that. Hopefully the project completes. Let's not forget the historic racing sim was announced but never finished. The one GP Labs made a video on. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, things like that can happen too, right? Like, you know, 2 years into the project, someone pulls the rug out from under you. Like, that happened even when I worked at SMS, like I talked about in the in the Ian Belvid, and I know that we've covered this, so I can talk about this because you said it was okay. But it's like we did build a rally game. After P-Cars 2, that was the next path we were going to go down, was essentially Project Cars Rally. We had a couple cars in game, we had a couple tracks in game that were like half finished, but we could still do multiplayer playtests on them. So like we had a sprint car, we had like a Pro 4 truck, we had a rally stage. The models weren't finished, it was like placeholder art, but like we had a couple tracks in game. And then we just woke up one day and it's like, yep, it's over. We're not making that anymore, and then we kind of went down the path of the Fast and Furious game as well as Project Cars 3. But yeah, like, that can happen to projects, so hopefully like it gets, you know, seen to completion. But like, the external parties that are interested in it, both from like a funding standpoint and from like an investment standpoint, and like all the fun stuff that occurs when you make a video game, it's pretty neat. Like, it's something I'm happy to say, like, yeah, I'm aligned with this upcoming project. I don't want to, like, spoil the team's name or anything like that. I really don't want to spoil the game's name, because the game's name might change. I don't want to give people, like, a definitive list of features, because, like, I can't. But, like, it's being built slowly. The staff is being assembled slowly, and, like, it's gonna be a new racing game franchise, and it's really cool. Jonesy says, make the late game cache worth using. Yeah, that's the plan. That was, like, when I set out to design this thing and, like, put together a document, I'm like, okay, what are like, the main issues that we have with racing sims? First of all, they don't reward you for, like, anything, so we gotta give the player a reward for, like, finishing well in a single race. Second, they don't curate things enough. Where, like, if I want to, I can set the RaceRoom AI difficulty at 0. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna say that you're gonna play under our rules. The AI is gonna be this fast. You're not going to have, like, a billion options that overwhelm you, like some racing games do. Like, when you boot up, like, AMS1, or even R-Factor 2 with the UI update, there are some screens where it's literally nothing but toggle options. And it's like, fuck, like, where do I even start with this shit? And, like, as a veteran sim racer, you just know, like, okay, a lot of stuff is, like, you set it once and you forget it. But, like, I don't want to do that. I want something like GPL where it's, like, it's just easy to boot up a race and hit the race button, and it's curated for you, and it's like, these are the rules you're playing under. Like, we're gonna have full damage all the time. And if you don't like it, fuck you. You know, like, get good. That sort of thing. I don't want this horseshit thing where it's like, oh, damage is on a slider, and you can pick between 37% damage and 38% damage, and it fucking wastes a bunch of, you know, real estate on the screen for, like, options you're never going to use. Like, one thing that, like, pesters me in, like, Automobilista 2 is, like, you can set a 24-hour qualifying session in Automobilista 2. Just because the game lets you. And it's like, why do I need these options available to me? Like, this just clutters the menu and makes it feel like I'm playing X-Plane. And I don't want to feel like I'm playing X-Plane. I want something that's like, no, these are the terms, these are our rules, these are, you know, one of 2 or 3 race distances you can select from, and here's your reward for playing the game. Project Cars Rally would have been way more popular than P-Cars 3 was. Yeah, I agree. We had something pretty good. It would have been neat to see what that game looked like a little farther down the road. I don't even know why it was canceled, to be honest. I didn't ask enough questions. I was just like, oh, okay, that kind of sucks. Yeah, even like the click to start shit. Like little shit that racing sims do that, like, we just deal with because we love the hobby, but, like, someone desperately needs to come along and just, like, fix it and be like, no. And have a firm no to it. Like, no, we're not doing things this way anymore. This is stupid. There's a lot of that built into the design doc, and then, like, on our project workspace, I go in to some pretty autistic detail, and I'm like, this is why I'm, like, removing X or Y menu button, or why we're doing it this way. Because, like, this is just convoluted and time-consuming. I want to set a $100,000 esports tournament in AMS2 with 24-hour qualifying for a 20-minute sprint. Esports teams will sweat it. Well, yeah, too, and then, like for qualifying, like, you can set stupid shit. Like, you can race in, like, a thunderstorm in qualifying for 24 hours with, like, 60 times time wear. So it's, like, a qualifying session that, like, You know, it's like being on Mercury, where the day switches like every like 20 minutes or something. Or like with AMS2, like the rule set, it's like you can pick the exact amount of track limit violations before like the game gives you a penalty. Like, why can't you just like be like, no, the default or like you're hard locked to 3? Like there's just too much customization in some of these games to the point where it just clutters the menus, and there's buttons that go completely unused. Like, you can have a full rule set or you can have a full without DQ. Like, what's the difference between the two? Like, pick one. Stuff like that just irks me in these games. Even AI difficulty too, like, either figure your AI shit out and give you a very curated range, or pull a GPL where it's like, no, this is how fast each individual driver is, and if you suck, well, you lose, the end. There's a lot of little shit where it's just like, why are we giving people this much customization? Anyway, let's go hit the track again. We lowered the downforce. We changed the gearing. I only need like a 10th, which is great. Okay, I already noticed that I just don't have the downforce that I expected to have. And you could probably brainstorm in the chat like more shit, because like I'm gonna read it and I can go on our Microsoft Teams account and like start making adjustments and shit to the design. But just like shit in sim racing that pisses you off in terms of like menu buttons, or just like little design choices that are like, why are we doing this way? Down 4/10, that's not good, but this car will lighten up, the tires will get a little better. Ow. Hit a curb there. Or the sausage curb, rather. Okay, now that the tires are actually warm, this is... like, we're flying right now. I have way better straight line speed than I did before. Oh my god. I got close. This track is really good. It's kind of like a mix of, as I said earlier, Paul Ricard, but a lot of the corner geometry is similar to Anderstop. It's a track not a lot of you have driven, but it's the airport course in GTR2. Final gear is a bit too short, so I went too far the other direction. And of course I'm stubborn and I'm grinding this out. It's a promising lap. There we go. New session best, 2/10 up. Okay, let's go assault the leaderboards now. So that really is just my Indy setup with the final drive changed. I didn't need to change anything else. Your internet nearly went kaboom there, Austin? Probably. The one thing we'll know about this game is the default setups will not suck and will probably be subject to updates if they are. Yeah, that's a good point. That's one thing I pushed for is, like, we need not... You know what? How do I put this? One of the things I implemented was not insane levels of detail when it comes to setups, but, like, the stuff you'd be able to adjust at the track. Like, I think Billy Strange has said in some, like, sprint car streams where he's like, you have too much customization inside, like, the sprint car setup option. And he's like, there's stuff that you can adjust that is, like, literally is stuff that you would only adjust when building the car. Okay, the Indy time is still stood. So, like, I don't really feel the need to overwhelm people with setup options. I just realized how cool it would be to stand on, like, a room scale podium in VR. That's not the worst idea, but, like, is it one of those things that you'll play once and then be like, okay, like, I've seen this already, like, I'm gonna skip it? Because, like, that's an issue you can run into. Like, some stuff sounds cool once, and then it's like, you come to actually playing it, and it's like, no, like, I just end up skipping this. Because that happened a lot in NASCAR 21, where, like, a lot of the pre- and post-race stuff was actually really well done, and probably some of the better parts of that game. You know, as much shit as NASCAR 21 gets, like, they put a lot of attention to detail into, like, pre-race scenes and, like, cars moving around the pits and stuff like that. But, like, after you saw it once or twice, it was like, well, I just want to get to the track and go racing. So, like, we could spend all those resources on building a cool scene that people would only just end up fast-forwarding through. And that's stuff you have to kind of take into account when designing this shit, because, like, you don't want to waste a bunch of money on, like, 3D scenes or assets that, like, people just skip through. Or, like, are designed literally to just generate a nice sentence or two about your game in, like, the review, but nobody actually uses, because, like, that can happen, right? Okay, Indy 4.5. So this is the time trial mode. Look at the leaderboard here. My biggest thing is quality of life stuff and making it easy in the menus to understand stuff like how to build a car setup without sitting and looking at a screen for 2 minutes and reading. Yeah, I've done mock-ups of like most of the menus and UI in the game, and like I fixed that. So I'm pretty confident we'll be okay on that front. But there's actually going out and building it, right? My biggest pet peeve is the AI slider is meaningless because you need to endlessly experiment to find out what the right value is. So my theory with what racing games should do is a lot of racing games should copy the Grand Prix Legends model, where like the dev team refines the AI to like, basically the best guy on the dev team in terms of driving ability, and it's basically like, yeah, like you're literally not allowed to change the AI, and every driver has like a different speed, and like if you're only good enough to finish 7th, you finish 7th. You don't get to adjust the AI difficulty at all. And then whoever like P1 is, like Jim Clark, is like basically like esports tier, or like just under esports tier. Like I'm of the belief that we shouldn't give people the ability to adjust the AI at all, because like that worked in GPL. It worked really, really well, and then just as you got better at the game, you started finishing higher and higher. I like that. I want that. It's going to be hard to implement, and it's going to require a lot of testing, sure. But it's better than making people sit there for like an entire afternoon being like, oh, 115% works at this track, but not that track. I think that's bullshit. That's horrible making your customers do that. Hey, it's Jay Rotten. So this is the guy I talked about earlier who became obsessed with me after I called out Nick Nebben for filing bullshit copyright claims, and this guy has now gone to report all my tweets on Twitter and report other people's tweets on Twitter who are merely just people who follow me. Everyone say hi, Jay Rotten. Anyway, let's go take a crack at the leaderboard with 5 people on it, because that's how many people play RaceRoom. Outside of the ranked servers, I should say. Again, the game's pretty good, but just you can tell that, it's not people's primary choice for a racing sim. So just think about that. There's literally a guy on here who like follows me just to report all my shit. This is sim racing in 2022. So we don't get push to pass, but we do get 50 liters of fuel here. Oh no. I think we're on 50 liters of fuel anyway. That was terrible. Yeah, this leaderboard is not competitive. But I do kind of want to see how fast we can go. I'll just restart that, because that was a shitty lap. But like, even there, like, imagine if this leaderboard had 100 people on it. I would have gotten nothing for getting P1. So then you're forced to kind of like do other things to just like be excited over the fact that you're number 1 on a leaderboard, like posted on Twitter and shit. But like, what if the game actually gave you shit for it? Like, what if there was a reason to like go leaderboard hopping? Like, what if, I don't know, what if we gave you some crypto for it? Maybe I've said too much. But it's better than nothing. It's better than, going on Twitter and being like, hey, look at this leaderboard time, Because, like, that gets old. But, like, these games have all these, like, interesting modes in them, and, like, we're racing on the highest difficulty right now, or very close to it. We're, you know, like, trying to climb the leaderboards. And games like Drive Club, like, did reward you for it, but, like, in racing sims, they literally, like, you could set, like, an incredible lap and, like, beat Gregor Hutu and, like, all the different esports guys, and, like, the game literally doesn't recognize that you're good at the game. It's just like, okay, thanks for having fun, I guess, LOL. So one of my goals is to be like, how can we reward people for playing racing sims and, like, actually being good at them? Like, yeah, P-Cars 2 and P-Cars 1 had career modes, but, like, they didn't reward you. Like, there was nothing to unlock. There were no, like, special things you got from, like, being #1 on a leaderboard. There's nothing. It was just, like, still a sim sandbox with, like, an entry-level career mode. I don't really like that. Wow, picked up 310s. Probably going to crack into the 112s here again. So this time will be posted publicly, obviously, so you can go and try it yourselves. I do have my... I'll click through my IndyCar setup here again, but I won't go through it in detail like I've done in other streams. Yeah, that's like a 112. I lost a bit on the final corner there, but it's fine. Getting crypto for leaderboards would be mad. Thank you. Someone's onto it. But here's the thing, what if it wasn't even like a leaderboard we gave you crypto for? What if we're just like, here's like a target time that I personally set. And if you beat the target time, you get crypto. And then however much you beat the target time by, that's how much crypto you get. So like, let's say like the benchmark for like, I don't know, like a rally stage is like 10 minutes. You could get crypto for finish it at 9:59. But what if you finished at 9:29? You get a little more. Think about that. Would that be fucking crazy, or would that be really smart? You could never put simple fanfares in a sim because sim dads would complain about having arcade presentation. Well, what you do is you just have a really subdued, like, simple menu system. Like, this doesn't need to have explosions or fireworks like Dirt 4 does in the menus, but, like, honestly, something like Dirt Rally, the first Dirt Rally's menu is beautiful. Like, that game was awesome. The first time I booted it up, I'm like, wow, like, this is the future. Jonesy, it's both crazy and smart. Yeah, scaling would be pretty cool. There you go. You guys got it. You guys aren't stupid. I have a pretty intelligent fan base of sim racing autists. Yeah, so like think about it. Like what if in a rally stage, like based on how much you beat like the par time by, that's how much crypto you got. So like if you no-lifed it or got, you know, a really good setup and you just kept clicking off really quick runs, you just like earn crypto. But like the benchmark time would be, you know, reasonably hard because it's me driving, right? Or like what if what if you did like a 40-minute AI race against a difficulty we selected, and then like if you finished on the podium against the AI, you got crypto. That's how you do it. And there are little sub gameplay loops you can add in there. But like I don't think that's too retarded, you know? Like for me, like it boils down to like look, like I just set like the #1 time on a RaceRoom leaderboard. No, was the leaderboard competitive? Not really, but like some leaderboards are. Some leaderboards I have held the #1 time on that had like 200 entries, and like the game gave me nothing for it. No unlockable, no custom livery, no like different menu screen. Like you know when you beat Mario Kart 64 back in the day, you know all the cups on expert, it gives you like a different title screen to be like you did it. You know you've got this alternate like shot of the characters racing through the desert, right? You get nothing. So, like, what if we did? Yeah, so again, as you see, Jay Rotten, there is literally a guy in here who is obsessed with the fact that I used other people's videos, which falls under fair use, and has been going around reporting people who follow me on Twitter, has been reporting me, has been, you know, filing false reports on my YouTube channel, so we'll let him fester in here. Everyone say hi to Jay Rotten. Win a racing seat in a Formula 4. Yeah, and then it turns into, like, whoever wins the competition probably has to pay that money. You know, like, you basically probably pay for a test day, and then they probably ask you for money, like, hey, like, can you actually, you know, run this? So we'll do a quick race here at Assen. The NFL games have already kicked off, but honestly, it's football. It's slow. You're not missing much. 2x multiplier. 2 minutes of practice just to load in. The same settings we ran here at our race the other day. I can manually add some people, I guess. We'll mimic an SRS race, I guess, here. 11 cars. I don't know, I can't really talk about the multiplayer side of that game design yet, but like I do want to include some sort of multiplayer. Everything's still on the drawing board, right? But I would rather mirror, for like any sort of game that I made, I would rather mirror iRacing's system of scheduled start times first, as opposed to doing like a lobby or like quick match features, because like that's realistically that's how people race. You know, like, do people host custom lobbies? Yes, but like people have gotten so used to iRacing's format and adopted it to so many other games. Like GT Sport has it. AC's got their own, like, you know, AC's got their own multiple, I should say, like matchmaking software. RaceRoom's got like scheduled ranked races. Like, everyone's doing it now because it works. Because sim racing is kind of like Rec League Soccer in that aspect, where it's easier to get a bunch of people together if you say, okay, we're going to race at this time, this car, and this track, as opposed to just like, hey, I started a lobby, LOL, everyone come join. It doesn't really work anymore. Anyway, we will go load our Indy Road setup. We're going to put a bit more fuel in, because that was an issue last time. Just saying. Football, what's your Super Bowl prediction this year? Honestly, I don't like doing predictions because I believe the NFL to a certain extent is rigged. Not as in they have like a script to follow, but like certain teams get prioritized over others when it comes to calls. And some of the rules are intentionally vague so refs can call certain shit to keep games close. So I don't like making predictions, but I want to see a Cincinnati-San Francisco Super Bowl. What the fuck are you doing? It's odd. Wow, and then he like shot by me. That was really weird. So again, Indy Road setup. Haven't changed anything. Like, no sway bars, nothing. Although I probably could. I just don't feel the need to. How quick does push to pass go? Okay, that's not bad. I mean, I'll hit the chip on that long straightaway to the finish and blow the breaking point, but we caught up a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a Cincy San Fran Super Bowl, I hope. It'll be, it'll be a cool story because those teams met in the Super Bowl before, and it was John Madden's first Super Bowl he did commentary for. So with him recently passing away, it would make for a nice story. I gotta admit the AI in front of me is really bizarre, because like there are some corners I just fly up on him. But then he like rockets away from me, so it's kind of weird. It seems like the AI doesn't know how to take the final sector. That's not necessarily very good. Why college football is 100 times better than the NFL? Because it's real football. College football is pretty good to watch. I watched a lot of bowl games this year just because of being both unemployed and then getting another job where I could work from home. So I watched pretty much everything that was on. National championship was awesome. Okay, qualifying. Let's take fuel out. Yeah, I only need 10 liters. Sure. Let's go. So only 12 cars in this race. We'll have an 8-minute qualifying session, followed by a 15-minute race, which is what RaceRoom does for their ranked servers for the public lobbies you can join. It's like the standard race distance. It's a bit shorter than what SRS does, but like it lets you get in like pretty close to 2 races per hour as opposed to 1 race per hour. So I'm just mirroring that here, and plus like we don't really need like a huge race to kind of shake down this track. So far it's pretty good, although I do have questions about the AI. Didn't like what I see when I was following them. Alright, green flag. Ideally, I hope I only need 1 lap to put down a quick time. Not the greatest lap. I'll do another one. Missing some apexes. This is a cool little track, man. .13.0. Almost fucking spun out there. Wow. That is the risk you take. Let's check the camber, because I might... yeah, I'm nuking tires slightly. The inside edge is too much, so we run 2.5 camber. You can say this. What engine is Project running? Video you said UE5, but what's physics engine? I cannot confirm or deny what the physics engine is. It might be something that powers a lot of racing sims, it might not be. Same thing with like vehicle licenses and track licenses and shit like that. I can't give you like a definitive list, right? There are cars I want to include, there are tracks I want to include, locations I want to include, but like nothing's like for sure, right? Catching an AI car here, so we'll get to experience not only the mega draft that we saw at Indy, but where they're good and where they're bad. As you see, we got bumped off the pole just a bit. And I'm picking up the draft from back here. Oh my god, you are too fucking slow. Eat a dick. Slap will not count. Why? Is that weird secret crypto game? Yeah. Like I said, someone leaked it on Twitter. I don't know how they got access to the video. I don't know why they decided to post it publicly. The reception wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. In fact, some people seem to like it. It'll have some neat ideas in it. It brings a lot of what Motor City Online did, right? Into the modern era. But it also puts my own spin on sim racing, so like, it's interesting. In the hands of the wrong person, it would be really predatory, I think. But I'm glad that I was tapped to work on something like that and basically given complete creative control. It'll take a while to manifest, of course. Like, you're not going to get it this year, I don't think, but... Be thankful it's not a big corporation. Be thankful it's me. Hello. Fucking AI cars. That corner is so fun. Oh my god, what the fuck? Look how quick he went through that corner. What is happening? So, like, the AI don't know how to take the final chicane. Oh my god, 9 thousandths of a second. And I'm out of gas. Whee! Going for a ride. Interesting. So is it free and you have to buy shit? Do I have to use crypto? I didn't see whatever it was that got leaked. I just know it was something to do with crypto. The pricing model hasn't been determined yet, but, like... You can avoid... The way I have it structured right now, and again, this is all subject to change. The way I have it structured right now... You can ignore the crypto element if you don't care for it. Because, like, I know that people are going to get, like, pissy over this shit, but, like, it's structured in a way where, like, you can literally ignore it. Which is Because, like, I know that that kind of stuff pisses people off when, like, a game is too pay to win, or, like, the monetization elements are just, like, super intrusive. Like, what's it called? What's the game I'm thinking of? MX vs. ATV Alive. Where, like, they're like, hey, we're going to sell this game to you at 20 bucks, and you're going to have to buy everything as DLC. Like, every piece of equipment, and, like, helmet, and rider suit, and car, and track. That pissed me off. And like I said, I've been given pretty much free reign creatively to do whatever I want. So I made sure, like, okay, don't become MX ATV Alive. Like, it helps that I have a lot of experience just playing all types of these games. And that, you know, the guys who want to take on this project, I won't say who they are because, like, again, you might know who they are, and this might be, like, really, really funny. But, yeah, there's just... It's designed in a way where, like, the monetization elements are going to be there, but, like, it's not going to completely break or destroy the game. Right? Because that's a big deal. You can ignore it, and it'll be a quirky racing sim. Please not motorsports games. Cannot comment. All I'm gonna say is that, like, a lot more people watch my channel than the subscription count implies. And for whatever reason, despite my crazy Twitter rants, seem to respect me in some regard. Okay, why is Q not ending? This guy had to pit, didn't he? Why is the session not advancing? Because, like, if I skip, do I have to redo qualifying? Oh, there it is. Do you want to end session? Why is it hidden? Why is it hidden under the skip button? Shouldn't it just end? Yes, I want to end the session. Okay, there we go. I don't even know if that's, like, the right qualifying order. Like, it might have fucked up the whole, like, I don't know. That's fucky. Anyway, we did qualify on the pole, so it's good we're up front. Yeah, like, I don't want anything I make to be like MX versus ATV Alive terms of just, like, degeneracy. So, like, it's not structured like that. But it'll be cool to share more of it over the coming months, because it was one of those ideas where it was like, it was kind of presented to me as like, hey, can you design something like this? And I'm like, oh god, like, this sounds like intrusive. And they're like, no, like, just put your own spin on it. Just like, just have this somehow. Okay. And then when I presented, you know, the design document, I'm never going to say it's completed, but, like, I presented it to, you know, the people who are going to make this, and they're like, hey, this might actually work. This is really cool. Let's start getting people on this thing. Oh, okay. Anyway, 15 minutes, 40 liters in the tank. Let's go race IndyCar at Assen. Holy shit, where are they going? What the fuck? Did you see this? They literally have super grip in turn 1. Or what is this, turn 3? What the fuck? That was the craziest shit I've ever seen. What the fuck? They're like flying. What the fuck? Keep in mind, I took them on the straightaway. What the fuck is this? Why am I catching you all of a sudden? Look how fast they go through the sector. They have super grip. This is... what the fuck? So this is 115 AI. It goes up to a max of 120. Yeah, my internet is dying, I'm sorry. That was not the breaking point. I hope you saw the race start where everyone just like took off. That was crazy. That's not how these games are supposed to work. Now I've fucked up my rhythm. Okay, clicked on push to pass. I can use like a max of 3 this race, I think. Just based on how much I filled the car up. I mean, this is insane. Like, they take turn 1, 2, 3, 4 at like an inhuman speed, but then they like slow down in the other parts of the track. That's just silly. So now that we're caught up to the AI, I just like watch this shit. So I'm right on them, I'm right on them, I'm right on them. What the fuck? Oh my god! Oh, yo, look at the AI. What the fuck? What is happening? What the fuck just happened? That AI car. I don't even know how to describe what I just saw. It's like he got super grip, but the AI grip didn't turn on for like the front tires, and he missed the corner. And then he shot across the track. Wow. Incredible. the pinnacle of sim racing. I mean, that's the kind of shit you see in, like, NRO3 clips, where people, like, fuck with the track guy and I just to make a meme video. Except it happened. What the fuck? Oh my goodness. Why are you so slow all of a sudden? Bro, what is happening this race? This AI is fucked. Like straight up just broken. That was bizarre. I cannot wait to watch that in the replay. And again, we're at 115 difficulty, which is like already inhuman. Like, you shouldn't be racing this high. And like, they just terrorized me in the first sector. And then they're, like, immediately slow. I'm nuking the front tires, my bad. They'll last, probably. I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just destroying the AI right now by like several tenths per lap on what is very close to the highest difficulty, a difficulty that you theoretically should never even run at. Like, you shouldn't need to run at 120 here. Like, that's not how ISI motor works. 120 is like literally inhuman. Even like 110 is not supposed to be used. Because it's like, it's wholly unrealistic. And I'm just, like, murdering them. And I really don't think my IndyCar setup is all that good. Like, I'm not an esports driver. I just put together something that worked. So, like, it can be refined to go even quicker, and the AI just cannot keep up. Like, even on the straightaway here, like, I pulled 2 tenths on the straightaway, 3 tenths now. And then out of the corner, back to, like, a gap of, like, 2.3. Like, the AI, from what I understand, are probably not going to catch me. Unless I run out of fuel again. And then onto the backstretch, they slow up again. Like, this is probably the worst AI I've ever driven against. Could also be using up the tires an excessive amount because I'm driving on the curbs a lot, which is definitely a thing. Fifth place is 9 seconds back somehow. Third place 3 seconds back. Like, the AI are just not here. I am losing front grip, so I'm actually driving like a more realistic speed now, as opposed to just flying around the track. So it's almost like worn tires drive how this should drive on new tires, which is weird. I hope I have enough fuel. I think I will be okay on fuel, but I gotta make sure I finish this lap with 1:15 or less left. Otherwise I will run out. There we go, now we're okay. Otherwise I was gonna run out of fuel, and everyone else is pitting. So once again, the AI don't either... They must mimic how much fuel the player has, and you can exploit that by short shifting because they don't know how to short shift. So they go into the pits, whereas you don't. That's not good. You can win every race like that then. You could just like meta and be like, okay, I'll run IndyCar, but I won't use push to pass, so I'll just underfill the car. Never touch the boost button. And then win the race on fuel mileage every single time. Like, you would never lose a race against the AI like that. That's lame. So, like, there are multiple issues at play in this. This is not cool. Because, like, I really like how this drives. This drives really good. And the FFB is really, like, nice and dampened and stuff, and the wheel's, like, stiff, but not, like, doing the stereotypical logic wake stuff that G29s are known for. Like, this drives good. FFB is good, but then like you race against the AI and they all pit and then they fly off the track. Anyway, checkered flag in the air. We have abused the bots we raced against today because they have all decided it was necessary to pit. I don't even know what to say about that. That was bizarre. So I finished at 15:02. It calculated the AI somehow is finishing 30 seconds behind me, which they hadn't crossed the line yet, so I don't know how that's possible. Anyway, we're going to check the replay on that, because that was weird. And then I'll let you guys take off and go watch the rest of the football game. Yeah, I don't know what to say about what I just witnessed. That whole race was like broken. And this isn't like, it's not like this track is like years old and just like sitting in the abyss on RaceRoom server. This is like a track they released like a week ago. Oh yeah, it does this shit. Anyway, chase cam or TV cam? Action cam. So the AI get a much better start than you do. Nobody spins the tires, even though you do. One AI thought it was smart to go on the grass. I don't recommend that. And already we have AI cars shooting away. But like, look at this. Look how quick they go. This is insane. They're taking the corner at like 200 miles an hour. It's crazy. And already we have like a crazy lead built. Honestly, I'm just gonna watch till the AI all like spaz out. KC currently leading 14-3. That's shitty. I want the Bengals to win. But yeah, like look how far the AI is from us. After like half of a lap. And like they can't take the final chicane properly, so you just get this massive run on them. So like the AI weren't even, I don't want to say coded, but the AI line wasn't created based on like the game's own cut track rules. So like I very obviously know that I can cut the final sector and it won't ding me, but like the AI don't, so they just lose time there. I have bad news. What is the bad news? The Chiefs has a 14-3 lead. Yeah, it sucks. Man, look how far the AI are. Way out in front of us. And like we still won this race because that just the AI was so bad and so inconsistent at different parts of the track that we just like let the laps click off and slowly reeled them in. It could also be, too, the default set. Like, if they're running the default set, which is just, like, useless. When did the leader throw it away? It wasn't very long into the race. It was, like, either next lap or the lap after that. But even still, like, I'm making ground on them in really bizarre ways. Like, something is happening here. And again, this brings me to my next point that I want to address, now having seen these issues pop up. I didn't know this would happen beforehand. This is my first offline race here. Like, I've done practice sessions for another, like, video I uploaded a couple weeks back. Just showing the difference between, like, a sim racing, like, esports hot lap and then, like, a normal practice or qualifying session. But I never actually ran the race here. So, like, I didn't know this would happen, but it's something I wanted to talk about in the future in that, like, I don't understand how I'm the only person running into these issues. Like, we have so many sim racing content creators, and like, how am I the only one like consistently running into this shit? Where like, I boot up a game, I try and do a race, and like, the game just falls apart. Like, I'm not even trying to like destroy the game. I literally just ran a single player race, and the game broke in front of me. Like, is there this, like, community-wide collusion to, like, defend developers anytime they ship a broken product? Or, like, is nobody actually playing these games outside of, like, a private test mode, where they just drive a lap by themselves on the track, and then are like, yeah, game's great, LOL. Like, what's happening here? Can someone explain to me? Because that's now a couple nights in a row where, like, I've tried to stream just, like, a simple offline race to just, like, hang out and chat shit about video games. And, like, I've discovered, like, the AI can't take half the corners on the track correctly. Or, like, my R Factor 2 video a few nights ago. Like, the AI smashed into walls and I couldn't finish practice because nobody had set a lap. Other than me and, like, one other car. And then this bullshit, which we're about to see coming up either this lap or the lap after, the AI literally, like, just fucked up the corner and flew off the track. Like, this is insane. I think it's this corner. Yes. What the fuck is this? Let me go select that car. Like, what happened here? I mean, this is insane. I don't understand what happened here, and better yet, I don't understand how nobody else had this issue. I mean, this is just, like, bizarre. And, like, okay, like, I understand, like, I'm pretty good at these games, but I don't think I'm an alien. I'm like a sub-alien. I'm like a cyborg. Like, someone who, if they put the work in, could be alien, but just, like, is not part of an esports team, so they don't have the setup tricks they need. And, like, just sees these games as, like, fun, so they probably don't know life these games as much as they could. But, like, I just set the AI to, you know, run lap times on par with me, and then did a single race, and, like, I have to deal with this. How does no other content creator run across these issues? I mean, like, if this occurred... When shit like this occurred in NASCAR 21 Ignition, it was pretty much grounds to, like, uninstall the game and ask for a refund. And, you know, doggy pile on the devs and make fun of them on Twitter and stuff like that, but, like, newsflash, this is occurring in more than just NASCAR 21. And I'm able to run into this stuff with basically no effort. Like, I had no idea this was going to happen this race. This is my first race at this track, and the fucking leader, because the AI was set, I guess, too high, when the cheats kicked in, something happened where the AI just, like, completely fucked up. And I can't even describe what happened here. Like, obviously I know, like, through my work with SMS, that, like, AI hints are a thing, and you can, when setting up the AI line for a track, you can make, like, you know, little hints and give them extra grip in certain corners and stuff like that. Like, it's a thing. Just because, like, making AI is somewhat difficult. But, like, this, I don't know what the fuck I just witnessed. Like, this is bizarre. Like, first of all, the car rockets away with, like, double the horsepower of anyone else in the field, and then just can't steer. And, like, this occurred just completely naturally during gameplay. And even after, like, as he's in the sand, like, he doesn't even comprehend that, like, he needs to slow down because, like, the AI speed boost is just that intense. So he's off in the sand and he's still full throttle. And, like, you can tell the grip boost is working because he cuts... Look at how hard he cuts in the sand. Like, how hard he turns, right? He's still turning and the car's still gripping on the sand, so he has grip boost on the sand, too. So it's, like, permanently activated. The car hooks hard right, and he's like, oh no, I gotta turn left. And where, like, a player would, like, completely lose control of the front tires and just understeer off the track, he's able to turn left in the sand, too. Look how tight he turns. Like, he literally does a U-turn at, like, 100 kph in the sand. Yanks it hard left, and then accelerates. And actually has better okay, what was that? So he gets back on the track, and I don't understand what happened here. Then he, like, there's no one near him, but he thinks there's someone near him, so he drives off the track again. So it's like this pass was scripted behind him. Like, the AI, there's, like, code or something that activates, being like, okay, there's going to be a pass that happens here, so this car is going to move over for this car. Like, that's not how passing works. Oh my god. What just happened? Like, I'm in disbelief right now. Like, this this Indy car literally did a U-turn on sand at 100k. I'm just watching this over and over again. This is incredible. Oh my god. You know what? Before we go, let's try and recreate this, because like I'm not gonna watch the rest of the race. Let's do something really funny. Let's actually try and recreate that as a player. I'm gonna end up having to make like a small like clip video of this. Because he's like able to full throttle that entire sector of the track. And then when he goes into the sand, he gets like super grip. So I'm just gonna try it like once or twice, just to see like what happens. Like, do I get magic grip in the sand? But like, Dylan brings up a good point. He's like, honestly, this is kind of funny to watch. I wonder if this is... but the AI was on push to pass and alien level skill or something. So like push to pass plus grip hints plus like too high of difficulty results in like a giant mess. Let's try this. Drive line, what we're on 4.5. Let's go. So I'm gonna try and mirror what the AI just did. Like, even to make turn 1, like, I have to lift, so let's try this. Like, of course not. Like, of course that doesn't work. And even, I'm on the gas right now, and, like, I'm spinning out. Okay, let's do his other U-turn now. Well, of course not. Of course that didn't work. Like, what the fuck? I don't even know what to say, guys. Anyway, maybe don't buy TT Circuit Assen in RaceRoom. Just a heads up. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys watch the football game now. KC is leading, but it is what it is. Thanks for coming out, getting nutty with us, talking shit about, you know, an upcoming racing sim franchise. Someone should probably like tip off like a sim racing like news site or content creator that like this is a thing. Cause like it's kind of crazy that I've made like multiple streams being like, hey, we're making a game. It'll be a new racing sim franchise. You know, certain interesting people may or may not be behind it. You'd think that would be news, but oh no, gotta advertise our shitty little esports league that 20 people watch on YouTube, right guys? Anyway, have fun with the conference championship games. Gonna kill the stream, clip the stream of course, because that shit was crazy. And I will see you all later.